All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 93, and we're doing Jackpot Pils from Lucky 19 Brewing Company.
I know. I bet you people were just like, another Lucky 19, bro.
Yeah.
When they hit, they hit. Okay.
Listen, we found them. Very recently, and we're just running through them now. Running through the
Also, to
garden.
run it through the garden. Also, to I mean, they happen to. I think we talked about this in episodes past, as
Yeah.
if this is a Charles Dickens novel. But in episodes past, they are out actively promoting at all the HEBs. I guess anywhere that Lucky
Yeah.
19. Like I don't know if I've ever seen them inside of like a name dropping here. I don't know if I've ever seen them inside of like a Specs or a Total Wine or anything like that, but they are hounding it at the HEBs.
Dude,
And
they are on
listen,
almost every corner of every heb in the
are
area.
they?
I mean, I'm just saying. There's pretty much every weekend I go to the heb if I'm in an HEB on like a Saturday.
Lucky
There's
19's in
a
there?
Lucky 19 promoter in there.
Which, dude,
Also,
it's
fun fact,
working.
they're actually hiring promoters.
Really?
If you want to go promote some beers this summer, you can. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good for the teens out of school. I mean, I guess that doesn't work for them, but I don't know. It'd be a cool job.
I think it would be cool if I was like in college, especially if I was in college like at Sam Houston. Not even in
Yeah,
Sam
if they
Houston,
were,
but just in that area, I guess. Whatever.
if they, I'm sure that's got to be one of the perks, right? I mean, no offense to like how cheap, we always talk about how like there's a lot of science and a lot of like effort that goes into beer, but like at the end of the day, it's so fucking cheap that it's like a perk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not cheap for us, the consumer, but like in the manufacturing world, I don't want everybody's going to come out of the woodwork. All the craft brewers that we hashtag and these are going to be like, fuck you, your opinion, because it is hard work and it is worth the money and all that. I do agree with that. I'm just saying, like, that's got to be one of the perks you get as a promoter. Like, not on the job, maybe, but like if you're not walking out with a sixer after a long,
Oh
hard,
yeah.
grueling day of every single family passing you in the heb, I don't know if they've got
Yeah.
that compensation plan set up correctly.
But
You know what I mean?
yeah, that always did. Like I saw that the other day. I don't remember where. It might have been on their like social media site or something. But they were talking about hiring promoters, and I was like, that kind of blows my mind that it's just like random people that they just like give a Lucky 19 shirt to, and they're like, go promote our beers. I
Oh,
mean, I
I mean, I'm
get
sure.
it, but like, it's just funny to me that it's not like someone that works there. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean I look at? Well, I mean, you do kind of work. I'm sure you have to
I
go
mean,
through some type of like, I don't want to say onboarding. That
orientation,
seems a little. Yeah, orientation's a
like
little
a
bit better.
yeah,
Maybe initiation, depending on how they have their model set up. But
yeah,
I think that there's definitely some type of, they're gonna ask you. Like, if they asked us, like, hey, do you want to promote for Lucky 19? I would be like, listen, I probably don't need much help. Okay, I
yeah.
could probably come up with it. I haven't had
Listen,
this
this
one
what
yet.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna set up shop in an HEB, and I'm gonna say, do you want one of the best craft beers that you've ever had?
Listen, I don't know how
Uh,
you guys feel about local, but if you don't, keep on moving and
yeah,
clear this space out for real Texans, please.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go.
Hey,
Listen,
you there?
you ever swing and not miss? Because that's what they're doing over at Lucky 19.
Hey, you there with the gluten-free cart? Get a fucking move on. I gotta reserve this space
Listen,
for people that are relevant.
get out of the area. All right, clear the area.
Um, so Lucky 19. Okay, Lucky 19 hit the big time. It's a
Big
jackpot.
time.
Lucky 19's Jackpot Pills, classic American Pilsner.
Yeah,
Did you have the jersey on this? 5.7
yeah.
ABV.
5.7
Uh,
and 17 IBUs.
oh, you did get the 17 IBUs.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, we talked a little bit beforehand. Well, before we started the podcast, this one is not listed as one of their can beers, surprisingly. Which kind of brings us back to the promoting thing that we were just talking
Mhm.
about. But it's not in cans on their website. So I was like, oh no, is this like an old beer that we got somehow or something? Like what's going on? But it's on their taps and like their seasonal and tap room beers list.
So it's a seasonal tap only? You're saying?
So sorry, it says seasonal and specialties on tap. So they have like
Okay.
certain beers on tap right now, and this is one of them, based on their website. But I
So I
was just
wonder
yeah, I
if
kind of freaked out for a little bit because I was like, oh, it's not on
is
can.
this a is this a promo special? Maybe.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm saying. Because didn't you get it from you got it from one of those promoters?
Yeah, I got it from the promoter, but I mean, she didn't make it seem
It
like it
was
was something I was never gonna get again. I mean, maybe I guess you got to drive up there or down there,
maybe,
depending on your proximity. I'm not
or
sure where you are,
this
but
is also could just be a case of the fact that maybe they haven't updated their website yet. You know, maybe it's
that
not
could be.
updated.
Listen, if they're looking for promoters, they're probably also maybe shorthanded at the home office. Um,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't remember, and I think this was kind of like I don't speaking of, I don't remember seeing this like I saw it on the promoter table. And obviously she had it all up display, and I was like, yes, I'll take all of them. Just based on our success thus far, I was like, I'll
Yeah.
take one of everything that you got. Um, but uh, I didn't see it in the like cold area or in the
Hmm.
shelf area, so that might be. Whereas the other, the Bearcat Blonde was, and all the other ones were there. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. They're
So,
more popular ones. I don't know. Maybe it's a newer one too that they're just kind of pushing out. Who knows? Who
so a
knows?
couple things. Great. I mean, again, I'll rate my color later. It does have some stuff suspended in it, some floaties.
A little bit of
It's
craftiness to it.
Yeah, there you go. But it's not overly crafty. I honestly, for
Mm.
5.7 for a seems a little heavy. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying I feel it right now. I'm just saying like I think that's a little heavy for what the standard American pills is, right?
Do you think so?
I thought so. I mean, I thought they were more like fives.
Yeah. I mean, let me see if I can go back here and see. I mean, yeah, we got some 5.2s in here that we've done. I mean,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, so you've got that. I was just gonna do like a quick Bing. I mean Google that just
Oh
to see.
God. Have you
Uh,
still not switched it to Google Primary?
bro, yeah, yeah. I mean, no. It's I'm using Google, but like I'm using Edge, so every single time that you start, it's like Bing and then takes you to Google. So anyway, average
Like
Pilsner.
okay, like it automatically takes you to Google, or are you
Yeah,
Googling Google?
no.
Okay.
Well, I would be Binging Google if I was looking
Yeah.
for that, but average
Yeah.
Pilsner ABV
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit
five
lower, I
four
guess.
4.5 to 5 is what Wiki says.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, how do you say it?
What, Pilsner?
No. The website that gives you like that's kind of like a dictionary slash.
Wikipedia?
Okay, yeah. I heard
Why?
this guy the other day. I heard this guy the other day on a podcast go on like a fucking. It must have been a 10-minute rant, which is way longer than expected for this topic about Wikipedia.
No.
And I was like, what?
No. This is kind of equivalent to like the GIF versus GIF argument. And the
But
guy that created it came out and said
calls
that
it a
it's a
GIF.
GIF, and I disagree wholeheartedly with him.
I know, but he created it. We all think GIF because graphic, right? I don't know what the rest of it stands for, but
I just think
GIF,
GIF
yeah, he
because it's
calls
a
it a GIF.
G and it sounds better.
Well, I mean, giraffe.
Also, when I think GIF, I think of the peanut butter, and that starts with a J.
Yeah, but GIF is not a word. Well, I guess GIF isn't
No, it's
either.
not.
Fuck, bro. We're all over the place. Think about all the random loopholes that just happen by happenstance
Yeah,
right there
this
in the
is why
English
people
language.
hate learning language. English. No, we're
Linglish?
struggling right now. This is why people
Well,
hate learning English because of all of these things.
yes, but also, I forgot what we were talking. GIF,
Wiki.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
No,
Anyway, Wikipedia. I don't know. It says 4.5 to 5%. So this one's like
it's up there for a pilsner.
pushing it to the limit.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's also maybe a little. We've been kind of in the same IBU range here for the last like month. I think we need to mix
17.
it up.
Oh, yeah, we have. Also, we've been. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be come off as a good thing or a bad thing or call attention to something, but we've been in the very similar IBU situation for quite some time. We've also drank like 5 fucking Lucky 19s over the past. I'm sorry. Part of that promotion thing was me just buying everything they had. But anyways, average
Yeah.
Pilsner IBU. 20 to 40 range is
Yeah, so
what
this is lower
Wikipedia says
IBUs.
it is. Um, but yeah, as a slight hoppy, I thought it said sloppy, but it's as a slight hoppy bitterness.
You want to know
Yeah,
what else that I love about Wikipedia?
I want to know. Yeah,
Is that growing up all the time in school, like teachers would be like, don't use Wikipedia. But 90% of the time you would use Wikipedia and they would never know. And I think if
yeah,
I
I
ever became a teacher, I would be like, dude, y'all can use Wikipedia all you want. People can change that information. So if it seems sketchy, it's probably sketchy. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't care as long as it's actual information.
Wikipedia. It wasn't like big enough yet. It was kind of just getting its roots. We used actually we used to use those Encyclopedia Britannica discs. You remember
Oh,
those?
God, yeah.
Did you? Okay.
I didn't
I
use
mean,
them in
obviously the
school, but I remember, yeah, I remember them.
Encarta Dictionary 96. Anyway, but they so that's what we had. So we had that, but I do remember them being like Wikipedia is not a trustworthy source. This might have been later in college probably. But what you do, I mean, if you want to be swift about it, what you fucking do is you go look up all the shit on Wikipedia and then you go find like two other sources, like
Yeah.
random websites or random books or like peer edited journals that reinforce what the
That
that shit you found on
vaguely
Wikipedia, and then
mention
you
that.
trust. Yeah, and then you trust the rest of Wikipedia. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that. I mean, that's the way the
Yeah.
system works.
Exactly. Exactly.
Listen,
I,
we were AI before AI was AI,
yeah.
okay? And that's all AI is doing. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, AI is just doing what we don't want to do anymore, I guess. But yeah,
Oh, 1000%.
I just every time that I hear Wikipedia now in my brain, it's just been ingrained in there. It's been seared into my brain that it's untrustworthy. And I'm like, no, I've learned more off of Wikipedia than I probably have off of any textbook. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah, because the other, I mean, its fatal flaw is also its, saving grace. I mean, dude, I will literally get up in the morning and I will see like breaking news. Michael Jackson's dead, and I'll immediately Wikipedia it, and they already have that shit updated. I'm like, who the
Yeah.
fuck is just like camping out here, making sure, like looking at people get passing away and shit, and like putting that on there?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it
do you think
happens
that's kind
so
of like a
fast.
oh, it's almost instantaneous. It's almost like they themselves update it before they go. No, I think like I wonder if it's a competition like okay, I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole, but like you know how there's like a whole underground of Reddit and like underground of all these online forums that solve problems, very
Yeah.
very intricate problems as a community. I bet you there's like those but competitive that are like, oh, I'm gonna get there and update that before anybody else does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna get there and add that information
Yeah.
before anybody else does.
It's like that's like the original keyboard warrior, right? Like
It is.
now it's like we got to get our headlines out as quick as we can. No. No, we need to update Wikipedia as quick as we can. That's what we need to do.
There's a guy right now in a sandwich shop going, did Jen just fuss at Ben a little hard? It's happening. The second divorce is happening. It's happening. It's happening. Get to the wiki. Get to the wiki.
Yeah.
He's trying to get internet, but yeah. Anyways, I forgot what we were talking. Oh, so wiki says that it's a little bit light for the on the IBUs for a pilsner. I kind of
Yeah.
taste that. Um, one other thing too. I kind of not calling Lucky 19 out because this follows the same situation they have of everything else. But this kind of looks like an afterthought, right? And it's probably because they don't can it because it's supposed to be draft. I bet
No,
you.
what do you mean like the design, like the color of
Yeah, I
that
mean
one and stuff?
it's very similar to all the other ones, but there's not anything that lends to graphic. They were just like
Yeah,
Jackpot Pills.
I
I
think
don't
it's
get
just
Jackpot Pills from this label.
I think it's just I think it's not the right color choice. I think when you think jackpot, you want to see green. You know what I mean?
Uh, or
There,
gold,
or gold. Yeah, it should be like green and gold is what I'm saying.
or like cheesy red sevens with like little light bulbs on
Hmm.
them.
Yeah, but I mean clearly they're not doing anything crazy you
No,
know, you design wise. They're keeping it all simple, which I do like. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like the color doesn't really fit very well.
not a very
Um
super. It doesn't draw you in by any means.
no. think it should. I think if we're being honest, it's the yellow for me. The blue isn't great either, but I'm not. I'm just not a big yellow fan.
Blue?
What color
I
is it?
mean,
It's like
I'm gonna
greenish
say,
blue.
bro, I'm gonna say turquoise, seafoam, teal. There's a lot of things I would have picked before that.
Yeah, it's like green. Like I said, greenish blue. Seafoam is like a greenish blue. Turquoise is
Yeah,
a greenish blue.
I get it, but like when I think blue, like I want listen for those people that aren't looking right now, the ones that are listening, like you gotta be, hey, you gotta be a little more, hey,
That's
listen,
true.
a little more granular.
Yeah. Oh
I need you to
yeah.
be a little more
A
granular,
little bit more
okay?
descriptive. All right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yes,
It's not like. Yeah, it's not like blue or like a light blue or anything like that. It's definitely like a seafoam. It's probably a better color.
yeah, maybe
Um,
teal. I'm not even quite sure what seafoam is, but in my mind, when you say seafoam, I would like let me close my eyes and say it again. Yeah, I see the color that's on this can.
yeah. Well, yeah. Now you do. I
Now
want
you
to.
do.
I want to stick on this school topic real quick because,
Yeah, just
listen,
keep going.
my my summer classes for college just started. That would be why there was no episode last week, and why there was a lack of a post on social media clip wise last
Oh, bro,
week.
you missed the post too?
Dude,
God.
I don't have enough time, man. Um,
We're gonna talk about that.
yeah.
Keep going.
It's just, dude. So I'm in two 10-week classes over the summer, which are not the difficult one. But then on top of that, I'm on a 4-week class, or I'm in a 4-week class to start the summer off. And I know what I've signed up for. I have absolutely no issues with the amount of work. I'm ready to do it. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just doing it. But there have been people that have started to group me, right? Which is one of my least favorite things about college now, especially I guess for online classes. Everyone starts a group
Okay.
me, and everyone joins
Is
it.
a group okay, hold on for a second. What is like a group me is like a meeting place? Like a
It's like a
Zoom or something?
it's like a big group chat app
Okay,
essentially.
gotcha. All right.
So it's
I
very
see.
helpful for when you're doing like group projects and stuff, which is why I always join them in case during the semester I have to do that. But dude, it never fails. Okay, people join these chats and just immediately start complaining, and I get
So
it.
yeah.
Okay, I understand that in my case, I don't have anything else going on. I'm doing school, so I have time to do all this stuff. But it also very clearly said it was a 4-week course, and you sign up for it. You should be ready to commit the time for it, right?
Yeah.
And people are just in there complaining right off the rip, dude. And I don't understand at all. I don't get it.
So a couple questions. One, I first off, as an example, I did one mini mester. I don't know if that's what y'all call it. Like
It's what
I
it
did
is
one
essentially.
I did one mini mester, but I think it was like 6 weeks or eight.
Well, most of my courses are 8 weeks for this.
Maybe this was 6 weeks. It was I remember it being short enough to where it was compressed, and I was like, holy shit. But I don't think it was four because in 4 weeks I don't like that seems like we'll get back to that. But what makes group me different than like a group text? Like what do you?
Well, you don't have to share your cell phone number, I guess, with like random people.
Uh, yeah,
They
especially if
also,
they're assholes. Apparently.
yeah. Well, and then it's also like, then you also, everyone joins the group chat as like if you're texting and you got to be like, whose number belongs to who, right? But in GroupMe, you're just like logged in. So it's just your name immediately. Um, it's a lot easier to send just like it's kind of like, how you send like a Zoom link out to a bunch of people at one time? You can just send the GroupMe link to like everyone in the class via the school email. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And you just click it and join it. It's a lot easier. I like I
So
have
how
no
many?
problem with GroupMe. GroupMe is a great app. It's a great
Oh, it's just
system.
the trash talking within group me.
Yeah, and listen, it not only on top of the fact of the complaining about the amount of work or like what's expected, but it's an MBA class. Like it's a master's program class. Like
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be easy, guys. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
What's the volume of like what's the volume of people already in industry and all and like people that aren't?
In the class,
Yeah.
I would say
Like
like
in your
it's like 90% people that are like already
yeah,
established in the
so
industry.
But like with a master's program, it gets a little weird because there's like it's like everybody's kind of non-traditional, but that's the traditional thing. Like you, not in a bad way, but like you might be the non-traditional in this setting, right?
Yeah, for the it
Because
seems like in this specific class, there's been a lot more younger people,
I
I
got you.
guess. But in my previous classes, yeah, there's it's been like 90% nobody under the age of like 37. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So like older, but like not necessarily. I don't necessarily mean like older and like age wise, but like experience wise. You know what I mean?
I got you. I
A lot
got you.
more, a lot more experience out in the industry already, and that's fine or whatever. It's just that like our first example is it's just an introduction post essentially. All you do
Yeah.
is create a file that's like a professional bio. So it's describing like your accomplishments, you know, your education, what you bring to a team, and then like a couple fun facts is what she wanted on it. And people were
Yeah.
like, "How are we supposed to do this? How do we fit this on one page?" I'm like, "Dude, have you like never used Microsoft Word before? I don't understand."
Also, this brings up a good point. There's a couple other things I want to talk about on this topic, but this brings up a good point. I think some people in their mind, if they don't have a like, did she say it has to be structured a certain way, or she just said it has to be a one pager?
She just said limit or yeah, limit to one page. That's max you can
Okay.
do is one page. And then she sent out like you know, like some links of like, you know, here's like something you could do or like
Okay.
some
So
examples of like things you could add. But she said in the thing like you can structure it however you feel is necessary. I just want the
so that's
information there.
so I think this is a true testament of just people that should be exercising the use of an MBA in general. Okay. And here's what I
Mm.
mean by that. A lot of people get hung up, and it's an unfortunate reality, but a lot of people get hung up on like, hey, you one page your bio on yourself. And they're like, well, what does the structure have to be? And like, what, how do I need to have this? Or what needs to be included here? What do I do with this? She
Yeah.
gave examples. So obviously there was a visual to go by. But like, I think the real people that are going to be successful are the ones that go, "Hey, there were no fucking parameters around this. So like, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and it technically can't be wrong because there were no parameters aside from the fact that it said one page." You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like that in my mind, it's not a test. I know it was just the first day and she probably didn't think anything about it, but like it's almost a test of like those that are going to be successful in the real world applying these principles, because the people that look at it and panic and go, I don't know what to do, I don't know, I need guidance, I need this and that, those are the ones that probably aren't going to be all that solid,
Yeah.
using their leading people and using their skills. It's the people that are like, oh, no restrictions, oh well, I can't fail then, technically, I'm just going to go ahead and do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just gonna send it, you know?
Um, but so that's one part of it, and then the other thing that we were talking about a little bit was um learning styles, and I don't mean like so you were talking, which I agree. I know. First off, like I said, I've never done a mini semester. I mean, I've only done one mini semester, but it like wasn't the 4 weeks. So I
Yeah.
haven't had anything compressed that much. We were talking a little bit pre pod before we jumped on, but different learning styles, and I don't mean like. I mean, I guess I kind of do like auditory or
Right, like people who prefer
visual.
to listen,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
prefer to look, or like
So
a lot of there's a lot to me. This is impossible for me, but mainly because I can't do things very quickly. But I cannot listen to a lecture and take notes on a lecture. I cannot do it. I can't.
I
It.
can, I mean, obviously different circumstances, but I can. Like, could you? Okay, but even when like everything was functional, you couldn't do that.
I could, but not as well as if I just like read. You know what I mean? Like there would be things that I would like miss or forget while I was
Right.
writing very quickly, and then I would just move on. But like now, no shot. Yeah, no.
So what it, I think that like there's a bunch of different. Obviously, there's all the because it's scientifically proven. There's all the different styles, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna almost say I'm gonna make a bold statement, but I'm pretty sure throughout my life it's held true. Okay. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, if you write it once, then if you write it down, then you got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where are you at on that? Because I fucking know I could copy an entire book word for word 3 times. Not a fucking clue what's in it. Not a chance. Nothing.
It
I only use writing now as a reference point of different lists to go back and do other things. I don't. If I write, I can write something 100 times and I'll never fucking get it.
oh, if I wrote it 100 times, yeah, for sure.
Okay, maybe 100 times. But I'm saying
Yeah.
like I can
The
write
old
like
Bart Simpson.
there's certain class. Yeah, but obviously he didn't get it. There were classes in like school where they would have notes provided in front of you. Not so much college, but
Yeah.
in high school a lot. And like they would be like, "Hey, here's the notes for the day," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's worthless to me. Like, writing them down is not going to do me any good. Like that is
Oh
my
no, it's pretty. I so like now when I take notes now, I sometimes
yeah.
like type them out, but a lot of times I just verbalize them. So like I'm
Mhm.
just like voice to texting, and that
Oh yeah,
to me is very helpful. Like
it's
not reading them in my head, but reading it out loud. You know.
I agree, and it's almost like awkward, isn't it? Because okay, so I'm very similar. This goes back to our whole like DNA thing. We should talk about like this kind of ties in.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we said it, do it, but like I'm sure there's siblings that can have different learning styles for sure. But like my number one is if I hear it. If I hear it and I'm like paying attention, okay, for the most
Yeah.
part, okay. If I hear it, still trapped, dude. I can't unhear it. Now, the problem with that is that
You
sometimes
got to be
if
paying
you hear
attention.
it wrong, obviously you got to be paying attention. But if you hear it wrong, then that also imprints itself, and then it's hard to un like stamp that. You can't
Yeah.
triple stamp it, double stamp. But
Can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd.
you can triple Lloyd. Anyway, so if I hear it one time, it's there, it's in there, right? And then also if I read it, if I'm really by myself isolated and I read it, I will remember it forever. And listen. I can paraphrase what I read. I'm not gonna know every single detail, but like I'm gonna know the gist real quick and how to leverage that gist in things. But
Yeah, I'm not an auditory learner.
so yeah, so that was my question, right? Because we are talking about like obviously the mini mester is very heavy lift right now because you got to do a bunch of chapters all at once. But like I don't really remember if I sat through in college, right? And even in, post grad, right? If I sat and listened and took notes, but obviously they were just as a reference for me to like figure out where to go find what.
Yeah.
But if I listened and took notes, I didn't have to do a ton of reading. Now, obviously for thesis and all that kind of stuff, I had to write and read and all that shit, but I don't know how often unless I was writing a paper or if I was presenting something. Like straight up testing, I didn't do a lot of book reading at all. Like if I was just taking a written exam or taking, Scantron type exam, I did very little reading. But if I was like building a presentation or a paper or something like that, obviously I did a lot of reading. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. Whereas you're saying you're the opposite. You do a lot of reading. But
Well,
could that
it's because in
yeah.
my past experience, right? Like I said, I'm given notes, right? Like key
Yeah.
points to follow or like PowerPoints that you can, and I always go through and I copy those, right? Read them
Mhm.
out loud, go through them or whatever. Um, write them down, however I do it, and then I go through and I've done that before and just taken the test, and there's stuff that's like not mentioned, right, in the
Yeah.
notes, and I'm like, oh, well, I should probably read the chapters then. You know what I mean? And so I do now. I've just gotten in the habit of like, if I'm gonna do it, listen, if I'm gonna sit there and take the copy the notes down for an hour, I might as well read the chapter for an hour after. Like, it's not that much
I see what you're
more. You know
saying.
what I mean? The big thing that I was telling you earlier was like, I don't know if actually I said this, but I woke up I started school at like 10:15 this morning, and I
Mhm.
finished like the last 1/5 of notes for this one chapter in my financial management class. Okay. And then it was just a crap ton of busy work from that class, like assignment wise, until like 3:30. And I was just doing those assignments for 4.5 hours or whatever it was.
I gotcha.
So in that case, it wasn't reading, but yes, I do now read the chapters. I probably don't always need to, but you know,
I mean, I think maybe again, if you learn that way, I mean, I'm sure there's value in it. I don't think I just always kind of just skimmed until I had the gist. I'm joking about this, but I'm telling you it's true. And I swear I said this before we started. I think that the corporate world has also taught me this to be true. It doesn't really matter what you read or what you write or what you hear. You just got to walk into that fucking room with like 90% confidence that you're going to pass that. The whole world's doing this, by the way. Okay. In fact, I don't know if I might have mentioned it on pod too, but like the guy said, what's one thing about the corporate world that you realize that you didn't realize until you were in it? And it's like one of those, what do they call it when they clip like a stitch?
yeah,
It cuts to him and he's like, nobody knows what they're doing. Not anyone
yeah,
knows what they're doing at any given moment.
no one
Okay.
knows.
And so I think that's why the confidence thing is so like there were times where I was very well underprepared. I'm not saying I blew it out of the park, but I was grossly underprepared for what I was walking into. But I just went in with like, yep, about to pass this, and I would come out on top somehow, you know? And maybe it was
Somehow.
luck. I don't know. Also, another thing just a funny story that I was interested in, everybody has like little nuances of where they went to school. I had a government, yeah, I don't remember what government it was. I don't know if it was US government or if it was world government or whatever. But a government professor in college, and we had 3 tests throughout the semester. I don't know how they were spread out or whatever, but they all had a different format. One was like the last one was just like straight up open, like answer, like straight up just
Right in answers.
yeah, write in answers. You had to get the little blue book or whatever. Did you ever have to
Oh
do that? I mean, obviously you
God.
didn't, but yeah, you had to do the little blue book thing. Anyway, that was the last one, but the one earlier in the semester was 3, which was very smart of him because it was 300 questions. There was 300 questions. Listen, 300 questions that were on the study guide. Okay.
Okay.
And they were all multiple choice. Okay. But there was only 25 on the test.
Okay.
Okay. But you could use your study guide.
Okay.
Okay. So that there was 3 different groups in this class, basically 3 or 4 different groups of people in this class. There was those that filled out the entire study guide, right?
Yeah.
B, those that gambled, did a fucking 100 questions and hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
And then there were those of us that just said, fuck it. We're just gonna wait and see what 25 are on there, okay?
Okay.
Because we picked up enough, okay?
Yeah.
And obviously, but it was very interesting to me because the people that did the full study guide, which I think was probably about half the class, right? It's only 300 questions at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one that ended up doing, I would love to see the stats on who successfully,
Who
like what
was
the
what
success
group
rate
was
was.
best?
Yeah, like 50% of the people did the full study guide and had it with them. And then a quarter of us were just like winging it. And then a quarter of us were like, hey, I'm going to a
All
quarter
right,
of
I'm gonna
them
guess
were
which ones
gambling.
are on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if I get 10 of them, then that's cool, right? But I mean, out of 300, the odds aren't all that sweet. So, anyways, yeah, it was just a very interesting take.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
And
not. I'm very thankful that I have not run into the blue book situation where I've had to just write down all my answers. I don't know. I would be out beside myself doing that. There's no shot.
so, one last thing, so I had him for multiple. I took for undergrad when I was for some reason government classes were early as shit, dude.
Because
Like,
no one
and
wants to do them.
maybe I don't know if it was just his preference. He was also our NCAA court liaison.
Oh, so he was
So
doing
like
sports stuff in the afternoon.
exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So so I could get government classes at like 7:15, and
Yeah.
because I worked all night, I would just stay up and then go, and you know what I mean. And so I had him for multiple government classes, but he had a blue book situation too where you would answer a question, right? You would start answering a question, and you'd be like halfway through, and he would pick up your blue book and he would read it and he would go, all right, yeah, except this doesn't happen and this doesn't happen and this doesn't happen, and then he'd draw a line and he would go, now what do you do?
Okay. So he
Right?
was pretty
And I was
helpful with
like,
it still.
oh, no, 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 no. Like, you would have this whole scenario worked out, right? Of like, well, in this case, this would happen in passing the, applied government, right? And this
Yeah.
law would do this, and this is how it would impact. And then he would come back and he'd be like, yeah, but this doesn't pass, and this doesn't go through. So therefore, what do you do now? And I'd be like, oh shit, like my whole plan fell to shit. All right,
Oh,
well,
I got you.
let me
So he like
let
makes
me
you
figure.
rethink it.
Yeah, like, you're going to
Gotcha.
pass this bill and this is the influence. I mean, this is the impact it's going to have on this and this and this. And then at the end of the day, he would be like, yeah, but it doesn't pass. What do you do now? And I'd be like, oh,
I
shit.
hate government and I hate law. I can't stand
Well,
either one of them.
so and again, maybe it's because it was readily available, but I grew to really like, and we've talked about this at length, right? The application of economics and the application of government. But only because it's fairly easy. I love when you can take math and turn it into theory. You know what I mean? When you toe
Yeah.
that line of,
I mean, I enjoy that, but I don't like I don't like law. I don't like anything where I'm having to pass a bill or
oh yeah,
understand law. I'm not about all that, but I mean, I enjoy the math part of stuff. That's the one thing. So, like one of the other classes I'm in is techniques for statistical analysis,
oh yeah,
which is like business analysis. And I'm like, that's the one today that took me like 4.5 hours to do the assignments. It's not like it wasn't hard. It's just a bunch of busy work. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the beginning of the semester, so it's not hard yet. But that stuff doesn't bother me in the sense of um, it's not that I don't like it. I enjoy it because that's what I enjoy about math is like
yeah.
finding the answer. You know what I mean? And doing
Well,
it's very pleasing to me to like get the right answer in that situation.
and the cool thing that I like about business math, because it's some of it's fairly simple, and it's
Yeah.
basically adding, subtract. I mean, for the most part, right? But when you talk about business math and analytics, like it means something afterward. Like I think the fault that
Yeah.
people find in math is like when we're young, we're taught 2 plus 2 is 4, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
Or even in algebra, right?
Yeah, but
It gets a little
why?
more interesting. Well, what do you do with that? It's fucking
Yeah.
4. What do you that doesn't mean anything. And I think with algebra, that's what really intrigued me is because algebra you start off with these small little building blocks, and then they turn into graphics, and then
Yeah.
what the graphics, right? So, and even then, I see how people can lose steam. But
Yeah.
when you talk about business analytics, right, especially when there's number, once you get done, that number means so. Okay, well now we have to do something. Okay,
Yeah.
that was not the number we were wanting, so therefore go do something. Or hey, this
Yeah.
number tells me that we probably need X. Well, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
think that's what's intriguing about the things like analytics. But one question before we kind of transition into the next topic, which is still along the
Yeah.
same line, but what do you think, like I think it's still fundamental that people understand the basic principles of these things and understand why we do them and understand what you do when you get to a number, okay? Like what action do you take?
Yeah.
But do you think that like analytics is going to be necessary as we move into this AI age? I mean, I don't know how people aren't grabbing ERP data right now, dumping it into AI and saying, "Tell me everything that I need to know and why I need to know it about this data set."
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm
the
saying?
world's transitioning from a human needing to know how to do it to a human needing to know how to plug it into AI to do it.
Okay,
That's the
so that's
difference.
so okay, so I agree. Like you got to be you get shit in, shit out kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But so
Because
you
I
got to be
mean,
able to
because I could go right now and ask AI to like write me something, right? Like I could be like return me, the top 10 batters of like the past decade for baseball.
yeah.
But it might not give me exactly what I want, right? It'll just give me like the top 10 batters with the highest batting average. But like that's not what I want. I want more specific. I want to see like their on base percentage, their slugging percentage. I want
Well,
everything to be average. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. No,
So I
I
what I'm
get
saying,
it.
I mean that's a very bad example, I guess, of what I'm trying to say. But basically the people who know how to use AI to get the specific answers they want from data is what's going to be important in the future. It's not going to just be like, oh, I'll just plug it in and get my information. You got to make sure it's right still. You know what I
Dude, we
mean?
could almost take this off topic, like off. I mean, first off, I'm gonna take it off pod because not because it's controversial, but because like I think it's a worthy conversation. But secondly, that's my struggle right now. Like we have people within my org that are very, very good at asking AI something, they get something in return and they go, "No, dude, okay, AI, this is what I meant." You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
this is what I meant. And it does tailor the message to exactly what they want. Whereas there's someone like me who is like, I don't even know how to fucking ask it what I want.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? Just ask it. And I'm like, yeah. But like when I get something back, I'm just like, well, that's not what I wanted. And then I just move on. You know what I mean? When they're like, well, why don't you just say that? Like, oh, you got to say it. Like, it's almost kind of like back in the gap. I mean, obviously, like back in the gap when we first got search engines, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, how you phrased it was very, very
Yeah.
important.
Well,
You
yeah, and
know?
then you found out later on that if you were like, "No, I need it specific," I put it in quotation marks.
Yes, or
Yeah.
dude, but even before that, like when we were asking Jeeves, it had to be in the form of a question. Like you couldn't just put like elephants migrating because
Yeah.
it would be like, I don't know what the fuck that is. But you'd be like, do elephants migrate? Question
How do
mark. And they would
elephants migrate?
exactly, dude. It was
Yeah.
just so weird. Like, and I think we're in that stage with AI now. But you're right. Maybe it's the right person that interprets what to get out of AI. But it's just a
Yeah.
very interesting question to me because people are in fear everywhere. They're like, oh, AI is going to replace us. I'm like, nah, you're still going to need some human element to interpret. Like, what the fuck do we do with this now that AI gave it to us? I
Yeah.
think
Well,
inevitably. I
we
mean, again, I could be wrong, but
also as a society, we should all be very scared of just giving the reins fully to AI in general. We should never ever ever just be like, "Here's the information, run with it." Never
no,
should we
yeah.
do that. There should always be a human element that's saying, "No, no, no, that's not right," because we should still know we should just be using it to be more productive. You know what I mean? It should
But
just be a
but
production thing.
But I here's why I don't think that we'll fall into that rut is
Mm-hmm.
because humans are inherently selfish. I don't care what you say. Like there's great people out there. I mean, I think we're really good people. But still, fundamentally, there is a selfish element. I don't give a shit who you are. There's a slight selfish element to you because that's the nature of people. And so I don't think that like we're if we're not immediately getting some think about the world we live in. If we're not immediately getting some type of return for what this thing's doing, immediately we're like, yeah, screw this, I'm moving on. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so if it's not getting us exactly what we want right away by itself without some of our guidance, I just don't think it's going to happen. But transition very quickly. I might be wrong, but to transition pretty quickly. So I saw Seinfeld. Obviously, graduation for a lot of folks
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
whether it was high school or college was couple
Or
within the last couple
kindergarten.
weeks
Or kindergarten.
or kindergarten. They don't really do a lot of this anymore. Do you know that?
I think it's school
Specific. I think they get to
specific.
pick.
Yeah. I never did kindergarten graduation, but I digress.
You didn't
No, I did not.
really.
No.
I did, bro. Full cap and gown,
Yeah, I
son.
remember the pictures of you, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait," and I never got mine.
And
So
the other thing that was bogus is we only went half a day, so I feel like at least they should have
you
at least
literally,
taken the robe or the
you
cap.
literally, you literally just went for the graduation, and that was it.
Bro, I'll be honest with you. I don't, I mean, obviously we learned how to like read and shit like that, but like, dude, we were there like 3 hours. It was fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like 4 days a week. It was like the most first off, now that I'm a parent, it had to have been the most inconvenient thing in the world.
Oh, dude, yeah, yeah,
Secondly,
because they don't do that anymore, huh? It's like
no,
a
it's a
full
full
day
day
thing.
now.
That's
Yeah,
so true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That must have been
bro.
so in like there's no shot you can have a job. No shot.
Well,
That was like a different time, I guess, right? I guess it was like
I
a different
get,
time where it wasn't a
bro.
dual income household.
Also, too, was like luck of the draw. Like, you were either the AM class or the PM class. And I think it was like you didn't get to pick.
You
I
don't
was the
think
AM
so?
class, which I mean, maybe
Yeah,
you did, but
I did AM as well.
I was there. So you were half a day or two, right?
Yeah, for kindergarten I was, yeah.
Yeah. So I was an
You,
AMer
yeah.
and like what?
I'm surprised you don't remember that because I would be home by whenever you got home from school. I would be home already.
Uh yeah, but I don't remember. I think by the yeah, I do remember that. I guess I was always home
That
before you,
that has to
right? Otherwise,
suck.
what? I
Like
know.
I'm just
Like as a
thinking back.
parent.
I'm thinking back at mom right now, waking up in the mornings and like getting us all ready for school, and then like taking us and dropping us, or she would take me and drop me off. I don't think y'all were riding the bus by then, but
For
like
sure.
taking me to kindergarten, and dropping
Yeah.
me off, and then getting getting 3 hours. Like I wouldn't even eat lunch there.
That's what I'm saying,
I
dude.
would
You
I
didn't.
would get 3 hours away from the house, and then she would have to come pick me up and get me lunch. Like what? She
Yes.
doesn't even get a
It's such a
lunch break.
shit show. But I think if from mom's perspective, I mean, I bet you if mom got to pick, that would be her preference.
What do you mean?
Because
Like
other
mornings or
yeah,
oh
because
yeah.
I mean, then you're done, right? Like otherwise, right, having it you waste your whole day if it's only half a day. You know what I mean? Like at the in the afternoon. Sorry, if it's half a day in the afternoon. Um,
Yeah, cuz
yeah, I
let's
don't
be
know. I'm
real. Then you got to like cuz your kid's going to wake up in the morning anyways,
yeah,
right?
you got to
Then you
deal
got
with
to
them
deal with it
until
all
noon.
morning and then get them ready for school, like clean them and bathe them and get them ready for school and then go drop them off and then deal with the other school traffic afterwards. Mornings were the best for sure. No
Yeah,
shot I
for
would want to
sure.
do that.
Because here's the thing: in the afternoon, you got morning class leaving traffic plus everyone going home traffic.
Yeah.
In the morning, you only had one set of traffic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
And then you could
but
go
yeah,
home and let them get dirty and not have to clean them, you know,
yeah.
to
So I
go
was a
anywhere.
morning person, but we definitely did have a graduation. But anyways, back to graduation. I'll make this a little quicker. But
Yeah.
so Seinfeld, as is the way of graduation speeches, right? What are they called? I think there's a specific name for them. Does Wiki have that?
Yeah, probably a commencement speech.
Commencement speech. There you go.
There
He
we
was a
go.
commencement
We
speaker.
don't need AI in this bitch.
Nope, I didn't even have to use Bing. So, commencement speaker. He was a commencement speaker at a college, and forgive me, I don't remember what one it was. And he had like what I find to be a very interesting point, and I think there's a lot of validity to it because I kind of trust Jerry Seinfeld a little bit. I think there was a lot of validity to it, but also it's so easy to have this perspective when you're on the fucking other side.
Yeah.
That's my problem with commencement speakers. Okay, is it's very difficult to truly to truly believe or truly embrace everything they say because they're already on the other side. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a commencement speaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jim Carrey, I think has done a number of them, and he always had a ton of very compelling arguments. But anyways, so the two that I'm going to share, one is Seinfeld, and one is Jim Carrey. Um, so Seinfeld said that his mentality starting out, he was like, I didn't care about money. I didn't care about success. I didn't care about anything. He's like, if you're focused on those things, you're only going to get so far.
Yeah.
He's like, the only thing that I was focused on was having the coolest job of all of my friends. The coolest job in the world. And he goes, for me, that was stand up comedy. He goes, for you, it could be being a math teacher. It doesn't matter. But if
Yeah.
you focus on having the coolest job, the rest will take care of itself. Just trust that, right? And so in my mind, I'm going, that's a very good point. I truly, we've talked about this infinitely when we talk about music. The ones that try to make it are fucking trash. The ones that don't have an option and just do it because it's something that
Yeah.
they feel passionate about are
They're
the
the
ones
good
that make it,
ones. Yeah.
right? I think stand up comedians are very, very similar. Um, and so I think there's a lot of truth to it. He's right. If I think about the coolest, like my job is, I'm passionate about my job. I think it's a cool job and I'm doing fairly well. I think he, it makes sense, but also he's Jerry Seinfeld
Yeah. So like he's kind of a
and
big
he's
deal.
worth like $300 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like how much weight does it hold? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always see
Um,
those celebrity, commencement speakers or whatever. And I'm
mhm.
like, I get it. It's really cool, but I think for me, what would ring like truer to me if I heard one would be just from like an alumni. You know what I mean? Just like an alum from Sam Houston
Yeah. Or
that was just like, I graduated here from 10 years ago, and like here's my story, and here's where I'm at now, and this could be you. I think
local or local businesses. I think people that have had
yeah.
to I think reinvention is one of the hardest things, man. Where you and I'm not talking like Wolf of Wall Street was the guy's name, but anyway, like reinvention is a tough one too. Like I think that would be a very compelling commencement speaker. Like, hey, I got out and I climbed to here, and then
Yeah.
screwed it all up, and
Yeah.
here's where I'm at now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
So I think that'd be a
that would hold a lot more weight to me than like would it be really cool for Jerry Seinfeld to show up at Sam Houston and give me a commencement speech? Hell
oh
yeah, it
yeah,
would.
100%.
I would love it. I would eat it up. It would be awesome and I would take whatever advice he gives. But like to me, it would be a lot more relevant if it was like someone who was just yeah, like you said, they were like, "Look, I was started here where you're at and I got to here and I failed. It was bad. But you just got to keep going, man. You just got to keep living."
There's so that the other one that I think along the same vein kind of was Jim Carrey's, and this was years ago, but I think he got a lot of praise for this one. He tells the story of his father. He said growing up his father had other ambitions, but he became an accountant because it
Oh,
was safe. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
then one day he woke up and lost his job. And so so then, Jim Carrey thought, well, if I can take the safe route of being an accountant and being miserable and lose it, then why not swing for the fences and
Yeah.
fucking lose whatever, you know what I mean? And so it's a very I think in the grand scheme of things, like that one rings true. That's not him claiming one thing or the other.
Yeah,
That's
but
fact.
also it's Jim Carrey.
I
Like
know, but
I mean it's along the lines of what you were saying of like the people that try, right? The people that try to be musicians, they never
yeah,
make it, but it's the people that are just like they're just good. They
screw it.
just do it because they're like, well, I might as well give it a try, and they boom up the charts. You know what I mean? It's the same with actors, and he's one of them. You know what I mean? He just has
Yeah.
that thing. There's a lot of actors out there that are trying day in and day out, and they just never get it. And then one day, maybe it'll happen for you, but you
I
fight
think
your
they all
entire life for that. You know what I mean?
I You're right. I think they all work toward. I think they all obviously because it's their career. I think they all work towards it. But if you look at the elites, and again, it's kind of catch 22. They're on the other side. But if you think about the elites, like people sit down, they do interviews with Morgan Freeman, and they go, "Well, what is it about your success that like, or what is it that made you successful?" And he always defaults to, well, I mean, you focus on the role, on the character, and matching your skill set to the. I don't have a good Morgan Freeman voice, but you get what I'm saying. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's still like the commitment and work to the individual thing. It's not, oh, I'm gonna do this because I'm Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson's going, hey, I got this fucking 35-second part in this one movie. I better make it the best 35 seconds that ever existed. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's his that's his thing. Anyway, we're kind of off topic, but one other thing I want to mention as homework is I don't know if you watch, and it's somewhat controversial, I guess. I don't know. People had a little bit of beef with it, but My Next Guest with David Letterman, it's
Mhm.
basically a continuation of The Late Show without the commercials and all of the live music. But it's it's Dave Letterman's Netflix series and he does interviews.
Okay.
Have you seen it at all?
I've seen it on Netflix. I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's been on for a hot minute. I mean, he's had Obama, he's had a bunch of other people on there, right? But one that was very, very interesting to me because he made a very good point. I think he was trying to flatter him, but I also found it immediately to be true when I heard it. He interviews John Mulaney, okay?
Okay.
And at the very beginning of the interview, and obviously they talk a lot about the drugs and getting clean and all that stuff, but he interviews John Mulaney, and the statement he says when he introduces him is he says, "I think this man single-handedly is bringing validity back to the art of stand-up comedy." Right? And if you think about it, I don't know if that's 100% true, because I think there's some other great comics that are out there, right? And he even asked John Mulaney the question, like, do you think this is the best time in stand-up comedy? Because I, David Letterman, feel that right now is the best time ever in stand-up comedy. John Mulaney disagrees, and he says why. He doesn't completely disagree, but he somewhat disagrees and says why. But what I find so interesting about that statement is when he said it, I thought to myself, I know a lot of great stand-up comedians right now that I love. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they're the best of all time, right? But if you think about like what Steve Martin, like what Richard Pryor
Oh,
did for comedy, what Steve Martin did for comedy, what all those folks did in their generation, I do feel that John Mulaney is that person of the current era. Like you can say what you want. I love um, the what is it, Two Bears, One Cave or
yeah.
whatever.
Bert
With Bert
Kreischer.
and I can't think
Oh
of the
my
other guy's name,
gosh. I'm so mad. I
but
can't
yeah.
think of that.
But anyways, so him, Theo, Gillis, Birbiglia, like all those folks. But I think, in my opinion, every time I see something that John Mulaney does, I immediately go, "Holy cow!" Like that is him just giving it, just sending it. Not in an ugly way, obviously. He has some weird topics, but he's not like deep profanity, not deep, whatever. But like, dude, every single time you watch it, you go, that was perfection. Like that was Steve Martin
Yeah.
style perfection. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff.
Oh man.
Um, but I can agree with him that I don't think this is the best time of stand up comedy.
So again, do the
Re-
homework and
I
listen.
mean, regardless of the fact that, again, I mean, like you were saying, I love all of those people, right? I mean, we say
Tom
it's not the
Segura.
best. Tom Segura, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that it's. I'm sitting here saying that it's not the best time, and we got comedians selling out like freaking football stadiums for stand up comedy. You know, we got Kevin Hart doing world tours, selling out every single stadium he does. And that's not to say that Kevin Hart isn't funny. I think he's hilarious. I think he's great.
Yeah.
But I just think that like we're in a time where comedy isn't as good as it used to be. And
No,
comedians have to be really really careful about what they say. You know what I mean?
but yes, and I definitely agree, and I don't think that's fair. He talks a little bit about that. Like
Yeah.
he's not super, you know, um, like I said, not super language, not super sexual, not things like that. However, he does make mention, he gets asked by a student in the high school that he went to, by the way, that he hasn't been to since he graduated. He gets asked like in the realm of cancel culture, how do you approach certain things that are controversial? And his response is very similar to that of like a Dave Chappelle or of a Shane Gillis or anyone else. It's you fucking land the joke first. Don't worry about the aftermath. Like land the joke first, and then afterwards, obviously you have to interpret what comes afterwards. But the joke is always the joke.
Yeah.
don't don't He's like, if the premise is rough and it doesn't land, then give up on it. Or if you can't make it to here, then no. But if you can get that sucker to land, you fucking land it every time. You land
Oh
it every
yeah.
time. um
Yeah, that's why I could never be
Anyways,
a comedian. Not only because I'm not funny, but that reason as well.
well, there's, I don't know, a whole other train. We can get into WWYBDs here, but a whole other train of thought too is like there are people that are conversationally and witty funny all
Yeah,
day long, like just funny people in life,
yeah.
terrible at stand up. And then there are also people that are the best stand ups in the world,
Just
conversationally not so
socially
funny.
awkward, not
Yeah.
funny. Yeah,
And very rarely, I think, do you get both, honestly. And I'm not saying like one's better than the other, but I think very rarely do you get both.
I think
Um,
Theo is one of those.
Probably, I would think, I almost think Kevin Hart would probably be one.
Probably.
Just because I don't think he's capable of turning it off. Whereas, like, if you look at Chappelle, in my opinion, the probably best stand up in the history of ever. And
Definitely
he
top three. Definitely top three.
he would be my number one of three, but I would say yes, top three. He, I think, socially is funny and can joke, but that's not his all day every day. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
just there.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Interesting to think about. So you said that's on Netflix. Go out there and you're telling the people to go out there and watch it.
yes, for sure. I mean, obviously, I think there's a bunch of, I mean, dude, he obviously it's Letterman, right? He's done it for fucking 30, 40 years. It's Letterman. He
Yeah.
has every guest that ever wanted to be a guest anywhere on the show. But yeah, check out the one specifically on John
John
Mulaney.
John Mulaney. Gotcha. All right. Well, yes, it is time for us to get into WWYBDs. I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna throw you under the bus here.
So mine again, kind of. Listen. When we first set out on this mission, I didn't realize that very quickly through my WWYBDs, you guys were going to realize that I don't do a lot. Okay. Um, but my WWYBD for this is I'm at somebody else's house, and I think I've said this before, but I'm at somebody else's house, and I'm watching. I was invited over because I have some rough idea of what the fuck they're doing. They're like, "Hey, dude, you ever put like you ever fix like the condensate pan on an HVAC system?" I'm like, all the time, bro. And then I show up and they're like, "Hey, you want to help with this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's not really my thing, but I'll watch," kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm drinking when I'm going to somebody's house, watching them do a chore that I'm the quote unquote expert
Okay.
on when they called me via the phone.
Okay. For me, this is a tailgate sitter beer. Um,
Mm.
but in a driveway, in a subdivision driveway. Like a
Okay.
nice concrete.
Drinking in the
Um,
front yard, nice.
oh yeah, garage door open. I don't know if we're not necessarily watching a game or anything. We're just kind of chilling, but I'm on a tailgate for sure, drinking this bad boy, and it's hot. It's not cold out. It's hot. It's probably close to 90 at least.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
pretty
want
much
to.
pretty much just a chill beer essentially, but specifically, I see a tailgate of a truck. Yeah. All right, we'll get into the ratings now. I'll uh I'll go first for this. Entry and aftertaste, I have a 4 on both of those. I think it's solid. It stays about the same. Body, I have a 3. It's not bad. It's just not very pilsnery to me. But it is crafty. So, there and it's crafty but not too crafty. But it's like it's kind of toeing the line between like a good solid pilsner and like a craft beer, if that makes sense. I don't know
Mhm.
if that makes sense or not. Color, I gave it a 4. Um, it's the right color, but like you said, there was some floaties in there. I didn't really get to notice the head very much on it,
I
so I
was
couldn't.
thick and full when it was poured, and it stood around as long as it should.
All right, well, I'll stay by the 4. Bitterness, I have a 3. It's kind of weird. It's not as bitter as you would want a pilsner to be,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it is still dry afterwards. You know what I mean? Like my mouth kind of felt dry afterwards still.
It
Um,
finishes as if bitter were there, but it
yeah, but it's
wasn't.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Acidity, I have a 4. I think it's
Oh,
I think it's pretty much like I mean, it's in the middle, you know what I mean? It's not horrible, it's not great acidity wise. Fizz, I do have a 5. It was almost perfect for me fizz wise. I had a lot of burps. They were all very pleasurable, and yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed all. They were nice. That brings my total to a 27. Also, not a fridge sitter for me. Very
no.
good. Um,
Well, it probably doesn't show up in the fridge if it's only available seasonally on
yeah,
draft, but
that's
go ahead.
true. Not a fridge sitter. It was good. I'd probably get it again. I mean, I had a good time. That 5.7 hit me. It did.
Oh, bro, it's I can feel it in my eyes. They're not glazed over, but like I definitely need drops if I was going into work kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like this is, I finished the second one. I'm kind of like I'm ready for bed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
that. I got that. Hey, things are kind of getting hazy. Slow down.
Yeah, the heavy eyes. So yeah, 27's my total.
Also, dude, how did you keep it together? I must have threw like 50 sets of finger guns.
I had no
How are
idea
you
what was
keeping it
going
together?
on. I had no
Bro,
idea what was going.
did you
I
not
was
pick up on it?
I
Cause
saw
dude,
it happening. I saw it
bro,
happening. I was just
you were like
rolling.
you're like a fucking oak. Like, dude, I'm out here finger gunning. There's cowboys dropping left and right around me. I'm finger gunning for the whole time. From the word entry coming out of your mouth to when you said total, nothing but guns, bud.
Yeah,
And you didn't even like I was cutting up and you were just stone cold making it through. Like I
I
got a
was.
mission and I'm on it. Nothing?
Listen, I was watching. It was hurting me on the inside, but I just had to keep going.
Dude, I mean, oh my God, like two bookends just keeping it straight together. All right. So, entry, I've got a 4.
Okay.
Aftertaste, I have a 4. I mean, I think she stays solid. I'm not disagreeing on body, but I had a 4. I thought it felt thick in the mouth. I'm not going to go back to our honey reference, but coated the tongue very well and stayed full in the mouth. Color, I had a 3 for the same exact reasons. I think it had a pretty nice. I wanted it to be a little oranger, like bad pee.
Hmm.
We talk about this a lot, but like bad urine orange and not as much floaties. Um, Bitterness, I have a 3. I think it could have been. I mean, it was okay. Easily could have been a 2. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I wanted more bitterness. I say this. As soon as I tasted it, as soon as it finished, I was like, man, if that finished a little more bitter. Maybe not on the inside, I mean on the incoming, but if it finished just a little more bitter, I think I'd like it more. But 3, it's good, solid. On the acidity part, I have a 2. And here's why, man. When I drink Pilsners, after like 2 or 3, I kind of want that little bit of regret of like, oh shit. I need something that's gonna combat this. Some Tums, some Zantac, something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And I didn't get that, so I have acidity at a 2. Fizz, I have it at a 3. Could have been a 4, but y'all know I lock them in like basically one burp in, and so I had it at a 3. So my total score is a 23 for this. Um, Not a fridge sitter. In fact, I do have one more left. So not a fridge sitter. Um, Honestly, I bet this is one of those ones that is significantly better on draft. Like
Yeah.
in brewery on draft. Not that it's bad in the can because I bitch about the can a lot. Not that it's bad in the can by any means, but I feel like this one probably is just slamming straight off tap. Um, but yeah, and I would recommend too. I would recommend honestly going down to get it because if there's anything I know about Lucky 19, and I'm not just tooting their horn one more time, but even if you don't like this one, you're gonna find one that's just stellar.
Oh yeah.
Not Stella, as in the Artois, but stellar.
Yeah. I usually whenever I'm doing the ratings here, I pretty much lock them all in except for Fizz. I wait to do Fizz at the end. Just because I feel like,
I should start.
yeah,
Cause I almost like preemptively like I've like, oh, how is this gonna make me feel in an hour after a couple more? Like that's what I go off
yeah,
of. And sometimes I get to the end of the journey and that's not what happened, you know?
right. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, it was solid. Like we said, not a fridge sitter. I would get again. Definitely, yeah, I definitely agree. It would probably be better on tap. I mean, I think a lot of pilsners are better on tap, personally.
Uh Unless they're like old world. I feel like everyone from like no offense, but everything local or anything craft in the States better on tap. But if I'm getting an
Yeah,
old world, like nah, I'm a one in a bottle. But I've also never had old world on tap, so I don't know.
that's true. That's true. All right. Well, we have gotten to that point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media on Twitter and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
Find you some Lucky 19 and let us know what you think about it. Jackpot!